your request to the Brooklyn Posse.
Hey everybody, Lauren Fitz here. Welcome to Fitz Friday Live with your host, Dr. Lauren Fitz, and my beautiful co-host, Cinthanie McAllister from Cinthanie.com. What's up, girl?
Hey people, hi.
Hi. Okay, so we're live on YouTube right now. Are we live on Facebook yet? And Facebook. Hello to everyone. Okay, so I'm trying something out different today because you guys, those of you that are on social media, you know that Facebook is constantly changing, right? And so right now, I'm on my personal page and I'm telling everyone to go to Club Fitz Fitness like page, and all of a sudden the view changed. So now they see me from the side, but I want to tell everyone on my personal page to go to the Club Fitz Fitness page because this is where we're talking about how cancer sucks. Okay. So this is where I'm going to be looking. So today, this topic is really fresh on my mind for a couple of reasons. And obviously, Cinthanie is going to take questions, but I want to kind of tell you guys why I chose this as the Fitz Friday live topic to talk about. One, because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And if you notice, I am not wearing pink. I'm wearing camo, and I'm going to explain why. Because I want to help fight cancer, and that doesn't necessarily mean buying pink stuff. And we'll go into that a little bit more later. But I have seen a lot of people that are close to me just in the recent past be touched by cancer. And literally just this week, and one of my close friends, she could be my little sister. Like, you could see us dance together and she makes the same expressions and she pops her booty the same way. Like, we dance similar. She's got her own YouTube channel as well. Like, she's literally like my little sister, and she's a coach with me on Team Fitz. And shout out to Paige. You know, I know that you're watching. Love you, girl. I have been walking beside her during probably, I'm guessing, the toughest time in her life. And I've been checking on her every day. And she told me, she gave me permission to share her story. Because ultimately the Fitz and Healthy podcast is to empower people so that you can have knowledge that can give you potential power to change your life for the better. Okay. And I just want to remind people on my Lauren Fitzgerald page that to hear Cinthanie and everything that I'm talking about, make sure that you go. I'm sideways, I know, but I can't change it. But make sure that you go to the Club Fitz Fitness like page, because that's where we're live, and my head is not sideways like this because I don't know why Facebook decided to change it. But anyway, so Paige is, her story is nothing new. And I think a lot of you guys are going to relate to it. She's younger than me, guys. And she has been watching her mother battle cancer. This is a struggle that a lot of people have to go through. More times than not, it's later in life. And not that it's any easier later in life to watch a loved one go through what you've gone through. But long story short, her mom was given diagnosis of cancer. She went through the standard Western medicine treatment and went into remission, and it came back. And I believe that it came back a third time, if I'm remembering correctly. But before I talk anymore, I just want to remind everyone, yes, I am a medical doctor. I'm not an oncologist. I have no specialty practice in cancer. I've done anesthesia for plenty of cancer removing surgeries or cancer related surgeries. In fact, I was one of only 2 female anesthesiologists in the practice that I was at in Oklahoma City. And usually they put me and this other female anesthesiologist in the breast cancer surgery room because, it's mostly females. In fact, I don't think I ever had a male that was a patient of mine for breast cancer, even though it's possible, but it's rare. But I have taken care of many, many cancer patients. But that being said, I am not your doctor. Everything that I talk about on the Fitz and Healthy podcast is so that you can put it into your armament of tools so that you can ultimately make the best decision between you and your doctors, your team of doctors. And that's one thing that I want everyone to walk away from this. The episode that we recorded today is going to be dropping on Monday. All right. Monday's episode is mainly about breast cancer. And because it is October, everyone's heightened awareness of breast cancer is definitely around every corner, every time you see something pink. And this is an episode that could potentially change your life for sure. Paige gave me the green light to be able to share her story, because if it can just help one person prevent from going through what she's had to go through, it's worth it. But this journey of getting from day one of getting the diagnosis of cancer, whatever kind of cancer it is, to getting all of the diagnostic tools, all of the labs, the multiple needle sticks, the multiple surgeries, the multiple chemotherapy treatments and or radiation treatments. And I hate to say a joke, but this is a common slogan that we said in medicine: if the cancer doesn't kill you, the chemotherapy will. And there's actually a lot of truth to that. I want to start off by saying that I, as a medical doctor, I have my MD. I got my MD at the University of Texas in San Antonio back in 2005. And I, like most of my classmates, of course, I can't see their heart and know their intentions, but Pollyanna, when I think of the fact that I think most of us went into it with altruistic reasons, that we wanted to really help people. And when you get into medicine and you realize how inundated with big money, big pharmaceutical companies, and it's almost too late by the time you realize that this might not be the best way to help people. I know myself, I walked out from 4 years of medical school with $130,000 worth of debt. I know that my East Coast friends that I met when I was interviewing had $250K of debt, and it can be up even more. So we get into this thing where we really want to help people, when the reality is we're not taught the true way to help people, which is prevention. Okay. And let's just start out. Well, first of all, what are your thoughts after filming this morning's episode?
I think it's going to be a really, really, really good episode for people to listen to, because there is a lot more to cancer than just it being an ailment, and based off of the experiences that we talked about and the stories that we talked about and just your view of it and my view of it as medical and non-medical, I think that people are really going to be able to identify with some part of it. There will be some place that they can relate, but also that they're going to be able to learn and have their mind open to the fact that not all cancer will be treated the same way. Not all cancer is the same, and that you don't have to be a victim of your circumstances, even in an illness that has no cure. You still don't have to be the victim of it.
Well, and I will correct you by saying, you said an illness that has no cure. I do believe that cancer is curable. But there are a lot of people that will disagree with that and say that it's just in remission. But I do believe that cancer is curable. And I believe that you can figure out if you have the proper team of people that are on this journey with you, and it has to be more than just Western medicine, in my opinion. And again, this is definitely a CYA, because what I don't want to happen is for someone to listen and say, well, Lauren Fitzgerald said that she wouldn't do this, so I'm not going to do it. And then no, I'm going to tell you what my experience is, in my opinion, but at the end of the day, you have to meet with your team of doctors, and so they can see your own labs and everything, and have a physical exam. That being said, one thing that I do want to point out is that, and anyone that has listened to any of our Fitz and Healthy podcast episodes, you've heard me say multiple times that a majority of us that go through medical school, whether it's DO or MD medical school, most of us don't get any nutrition. Okay. And while you guys will never hear me stop talking about how important nutrition is, But nutrition is just one of the elements that can be changed so that you don't get to the point that you are watching your mom on her last stages of life, because that is that's something that you can't take out of your brain ever. And that it's something that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, especially not someone that I love. And watching her go through, watching her mom in her last days of life, anytime I personalize it, it just, like, I'm not ready for that. And I will never be ready for that. But it's something that I feel like if her family knew what we know now, this could have all been prevented, and she could have grown much older and enjoyed more years of her grandchildren as a grandparent. And I truly believe that. But she went through the standard of care, and the standard of care doesn't work for most people. And one thing that I want to make sure that a lot of people understand is that, like I was saying, doctors' hands are tied, because if you as a physician know that a patient has a particular kind of cancer, if you don't recommend the standard of care, surgery, chemo, radiation, or all of the above, you can get your license pulled. It's crazy. And we talk about this way more in depth on the episode that's dropping on Monday. And it's more centered on breast cancer because it is October. But like I said, I'm wearing my camo shirt because I want to fight cancer so that we can eradicate it, because I definitely believe that we can eradicate it and get rid of it. But what we're doing is not working. And, like we were talking on the episode, you even yourself have been, and I mean, I think most of us can say that we have donated time and or money to the Pink Ribbon campaign. And the reality is, there's a lot of money that is given to this Pink Ribbon campaign. And have we really gotten any farther along in curing breast cancer? And the answer is no. If anything, but that they will have statisticians that will turn the numbers and make you feel like, oh, but we're finding breast cancers earlier. Not necessarily. So this episode that drops on Monday on the podcast, you guys have to go download. And of course, any sharing of the podcast helps get the word out, because ultimately, you guys, I don't think most people realize we don't make money from podcasting. This is our own time. Not a dollar. Not a dollar.
No dollars.
Right, for sure. So everything that we do on the podcast is to give you guys tools so that you can change your life. But at the end of the day, it's your life. And if you don't make those decisions to make those changes, you, statistically speaking, you are going to end up one of those people. The stats are not looking good and it's not just Americans, guys. It's cancer epidemic is all over the world. So do we have any questions? Because this is something I could definitely talk about. And of course, on my personal page, there's a ton of questions. I'm sure everyone's saying, why are you upside down, Lauren? I don't know. Facebook is just painful lately. So on my personal page, literally, Leah just showed me, yep, you're sideways. So go to the Club Fitz Fitness like page, guys. That's where you can see both me and Cinthanie, and I'm not sideways.
Just talking to yourself.
Yeah.
Sideways.
So yeah, because I can't read your questions either because they're sideways. So, okay. Do we have any questions so far?
We don't yet.
Okay. So we don't have any questions. So one thing that I want to talk about is, and we cover this more in depth in the episode that drops on Monday, but breast cancer. Breast cancer is something that every October we hear multiple times. We see on football games. It's everywhere. Like half of the products that you buy from the grocery store are pink labeled. It's one of those things that I want people to just start being open-minded about and think before you buy stuff with pink ribbons. And in fact, we will, in the show notes on Monday's episode, we will list a few links of organizations that if I we're choosing. I would not give to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. I would give to these other ones, because the fact is that if you look at how much the CEO has been paid of the Komen Foundation, like what's the need to pay that CEO $750,000 every year? I mean, that's how much that these CEOs are being paid. They're being given millions and millions of dollars by companies that their products promote cancer, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, makeup companies, water bottles. Guys, if you haven't heard me talk about water bottles and the plastic bottles that they come in, almost all of them are BPA lined. And so that is a known potential carcinogen for breast cancer specifically. So how can you take money from an organization that their product is making breast cancer worse? It's called money because it's a business. And this is one thing that I just want people to be aware of. You can still help support the cause, but just know who you're supporting.
So Jenny Duncan said, what about childhood cancer that strikes seemingly healthy kids? What preventative care can be taken for children who already have a healthy diet and exercise?
Sweet. Okay. So Robert took this question from my personal page. So thank you, Robert, for writing that down. So the question is childhood cancer hitting a healthy kid, right? What are some preventative things that you can do? So first things first, there are certain elements in our environment that we cannot control, but more elements of our environment we can, but it just takes work and it takes you being not lazy. And I'm not saying that Jenny Duncan, you're a lazy parent, or if you're even talking about your own kids, but I know there are a lot of lazy parents that, well, it's just hard to get my kids to eat healthy. I'll eat healthy, but they can't. Guys, you are the adult. You buy the groceries, you typically cook the food. If your health is worth it, then why isn't theirs? So just starting to change nutrition is step one. Getting rid of all the processed foods, getting rid of sugar. Guys, sugar feeds cancer. There is a great podcast where if you go to the podcast app and search fasting and cancer, I believe it leads you to find this episode. It's like a 2-hour-long interview of this gentleman who did lots of research on how fasting before chemotherapy helps basically fight the cancer, because cancer thrives on sugar. And so that's one of the first places. And I mean, nowadays our kids are hyped up on sugar. Sugar is in everything. There's 253 different ways that sugar can be hidden. Mm-hmm. So just starting to read labels and understand all of the many ways. Obviously, high fructose corn syrup. Guys, stop buying that stuff. Stop buying anything with the ingredients that have high fructose corn syrup. It's just not good for you.
It's actually been renamed by the FDA recently as natural sugar.
Are you kidding?
Nope.
The FDA renamed it as natural sugar.
High fructose corn syrup as natural sugar.
And see, this is another thing. You guys have to be on your toes and
Just
stay.
Because it says it's natural doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yeah. Well, like we already said, natural can mean anal glands from the beavers for the vanilla extract.
Yeah. So I told my husband that and he did not believe me. And I was like, Google it.
Google it.
But it's
real.
Yeah.
But this is the FDA's way of making loopholes and getting around and hiding this stuff from the public, because we live in a day and age that is full of information, and it's going to be grassroots efforts like us, like the people that, that really want to make a difference. And like we said, we don't get paid jack squat for this podcast, but we take time every single Friday to record episodes so that you can have this information in your hands so you can change your life. Mm-hmm. So nutrition. Stop drinking soda, guys. Like, stop. Diet and regular. Just get it out of your life. You're addicted to it, so get it out of your life. Bottom line, there is nothing nutritionally good for you. It's bad. And again, there's no gray zone. There's no, it's kind of good for me, kind of not. No, it's either good or bad for you. Soda, bad. So changing what we eat, but also changing environmental toxins. So for example, guys, start being aware of all of the hidden places, stuff like phytoestrogens are, phthalates, all of these things that basically mimic estrogen. Estrogen is not the problem with breast cancer. It's estrogen-like substances that lead to breast cancer. So all of like bottled water, many of you guys have followed me on either Snap or Instagram. I'm so careful about my water. And am I 100% right all the time? No, because there's some times where I'm at a restaurant and I don't have my bottled water with me. They don't have a good quality source of water, and I have to drink the water that they have. But for the most part, I make sure that I'm not drinking water that has chlorine in it and doesn't have bromide in it. Chloride and bromide and fluoride, those are all agents that ultimately affect my health. So making sure you're getting clean water. Sleep, guys, we have to stop. And doctors are the worst. My ex-husband was the worst about saying, I'll sleep when I die, because he thought it was, like, it shows how tough I am because I'm an orthopedic surgeon and I don't need a lot of sleep. Whatever. You're stupid. Not just him specifically, because I know a lot of doctors that had that mentality. I never said that. I've always appreciated my sleep and how important it is.
Yeah. But not even doctors. A lot of people think that, like, especially because the world is in like the hustle phase. Like if you're not hustling, you're not doing anything. Like it's like, I'll sleep later. I'm hustling right now. Like,
absolutely.
No, like, sleep is still really important.
Yeah. Sleep is super important. Sleep is sometimes that's the one factor that I can get one of my clients in my challenge group to change. And all of a sudden they start losing the weight that they've had trouble losing for the longest time. I mean, don't underestimate the power of sleep. There's a great book. So I know a lot of you guys have heard me talk about Sean Stevenson from the Model Health Show. His podcast is pretty much the #1 health and fitness podcast. And he has a great book called Sleep Smarter. You guys, if you don't have sleep problems, probably someone in your life does, and you need to get that book because that book is a game changer. Another way, another topic that you can tackle is all the toxins that you're getting from products that you put on your skin. You guys, like I haven't 100% gone all natural because like I'm actually right now I'm holding some some lip gloss that was given to me. I've got one of my closest friends. Her sister works for a big company in New York, and she's always sending me a bunch of cool makeup that's free. And it's some good makeup. But the fact is, like, I need to cut all of this out. And this is why I'm always completely open and honest with you guys. I am far from perfect. It's a journey. Will I get to the point where all of the products that I put on my body are 100% good for me? Yes. But it doesn't happen overnight. Like my hair care products, all of them are from Aveda. Aveda is a great quality product, but you definitely, it's more expensive. But ultimately all of these, we call them endocrine disruptors, where they get into your body and they mimic your hormones. So endocrine is basically the word for hormones. And so they get into these receptor sites of your cells and they send signals to your body that they shouldn't be sending. And, this is the reason why people's thyroid dysfunctions when they're eating gluten. And this is why people's menstrual cycles are all whacked because they're constantly eating sugar. And like our hormones are disrupted by so many things, and kids as alike too. One point that I wanted to make for the kid question was you really need to listen to the podcast episode that is dropping on Monday, because a lot of parents don't realize that if you have, and I don't wish this on any of you guys that have kids, but if you have a kid that is given the diagnosis of cancer and you want to try non-traditional Western medicine approach of treating it, the state that you're in can literally take custody of your kid and take over the medical care. And this is why knowledge is power, guys. I know that so many of you are like, wait, what? You're telling me that if I don't want my kid to go through chemo and radiation, I don't ultimately have that decision? And yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. So hopefully I answered that question. And obviously healthy diet and exercise, staying active is huge, absolutely huge. And then another thing I forgot to mention was stuff like EMFs and Wi-Fi. If a great episode to go listen to that we talk about that is, I don't remember which episode number it was, but it's where we interviewed, Anthony DiClemente. Yes. Yes. So that's a great episode you need to go listen to.
Biohacking. It's biohacking episode with Anthony DiClemente.
There we go. Thank you.
So really environment. If your kid is already healthy, you feel like they're healthy, they're exercising, they're eating good, make sure that now that you have them in an environment that's not contributing, like Lauren said, little things like water bottles or fluoride toothpaste, things like just go listen to the Anthony DiClemente episode because it has so much information really on biohacking your environment.
Yeah, I felt bad because there's a friend of mine. I've actually never met her in person, but we've always chatted on Facebook. She's a dance fitness instructor, and she's emailed me every now and then. So she sent me this toothpaste, and because I think it's an MLM, and she sent me this toothpaste. And when I got it, it said fluoride, and she asked me, what I thought of it. And I'm like, girl, I don't use fluoride in my toothpaste anymore. Mm-hmm. I actually, when I cracked my tooth, I called my friend who, shout out to Will Farmer. So his last name, we always joke, you might not know the song, but Informer, da 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 da. You remember that song? No. Well, instead we go Will Farmer. Okay, we're gonna have to play that song later because Robert, I see, is smiling because he knows what song I'm talking about. You're too young for it. Dang it. That's okay. But he was a pediatric dentist that I used to work with. I used to put his patients to sleep in the OR because they're all kids and they need anesthesia for surgery. And when I told him that I don't use fluoride and I do coconut pulling with, basically I take coconut oil and I use that as a mouthwash and I swish with it for anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And I was doing that when I cracked my tooth, and I could literally see him shaking his head through the phone. And I'm like, dude, I believe in this stuff now. And I know that, he's still in the Western minded medicine, but yeah, I don't use toothpaste with fluoride anymore. So, yeah. Oh, and then one other thing, it's stress. Guys, especially childhood, but adulthood, decrease the amount of stress you have in your life. Mm-hmm. If your kid has a schedule that's crazier than yours, it's your job to de-stress that kid's life and maybe cut back on some things. Because kids are not meant to be stressed. They're meant to play. Get them out and get them outside, not in front of the video screen, the video game. Yeah. I'm just saying. Okay.
So there is a question, and I'm going to let you read it because it has lots of medical terms in it, which I know I'm going to butcher.
That's okay. I'll correct you.
So it's on the Facebook Live.
The Facebook Live.
Keisha.
Okay. Well, read Derby's question real fast that Robert wrote in the chat, and I'll find
I didn't see that one. Let me
see. Yeah. Robert wrote a question from Derby.
So Elizabeth asked, do females need to get a mammogram every year? Is that excessive radiation? Listen to the episode on Monday. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Just listen to the episode. Yeah,
Derby,
we talk about that.
Exactly. We do talk about that exact topic in the episode. Okay. So, Kesia Pereira, I'm pretty sure I chopped your name up, but I apologize for that. So, hi girls, how are you all? We are doing awesome. Thank you for asking. So she writes, my mom was diagnosed with myelofibrosis, did transplant, but got host disease and died last year. So my question is, do you think nutrition might help? She got first polycythemia, Vera disease, and became cancer. So I think what she's trying to say is, in our opinion, if we knew what we do now, if that could have changed it. And I hate saying this, but yes, I definitely believe that. And this is why we're doing episodes like this. Yes. I don't want you coming to this episode and listening to it when you get a diagnosis. I want you to listen to this episode now so that you don't get that diagnosis, or someone that you love doesn't get that diagnosis, because I talk about my Aunt Cheryl in the episode that drops on Monday. It wasn't until she got the diagnosis that she really started to take her nutrition serious. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because the three people, and I talk about this on the episode, the three people that I know personally that have gone through breast cancer are all medical professionals. And my aunt's a PA, and then my two other friends are both MDs. And all of them in their journey post day one of finding out that they had breast cancer, embarked on this journey of learning. And I want to encourage you to not wait till that day happens, to start learning now, because I stayed with my Aunt Cheryl when I came for your wedding, Cinthanie, and we started talking, and this was the first time that I feel like Aunt Cheryl has ever been woke to how important the food that we eat is. And, you know, I was like, doesn't it make you angry? And she's like, yes, absolutely. Like the more that I learn about what I don't know about how to prevent cancer, it angers me. And there's a particular website that we talk about on Monday's episode that I would love for everyone to check out as well, because, man, knowledge, this is like the definition of knowledge is potential power for sure.
Yeah, totally.
So,
there is a question. Oh, go ahead.
No. What's the question?
They want to know, Autumn said, what is the difference by eating fruits and putting them in a smoothie?
What's the difference in eating fruits and putting them in smoothie? I'm not really sure what that means.
The texture.
Yeah. I mean, you're
either gonna eat it or drink it.
Maybe the difference between smoothies versus juicing. And you know, there's a lot of cancer people that swear by juicing. I'm not anti-juicing, but I definitely think that you should just eat the whole vegetable or fruit if you're going to eat it, because you're getting rid of the fiber, and the fiber is an important component of that plant. And so when you put it in a smoothie, it's making the texture change, but you're not losing any of the benefits that come along with it, putting it in a smoothie, versus if you're juicing. The
nutritional value.
Right. It doesn't change the nutritional value, but when you're juicing, you do actually lose the fiber content.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So what other questions we got?
We don't have any more at the moment.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Well, that being said, a few things that if you don't go to the episode on Monday and download it, I just want to remind you guys that most breast cancers are actually picked up by self-examination. And so I'm going to do a quick tutorial, because this thing, it's so easy, and it's a habit that you should get into. You should get into it at least once a month, typically about 7 days after your first day of your period, because with the different days in our cycle, we have different hormonal changes, and some of us have more cystic breast tissue than others. And so doing it at the time of the month where it's the least is best. So it's very easy. You take your arm, you start in your axilla, which is your armpit, and you literally take your hand, and what you're trying to do with your self-examination is get the textile, the sensation in your hands, learning what that landscape feels like. And you want to literally go back and forth on your breast like you're vacuuming your carpet or mowing the lawn. And you're going back and forth all the way from the axilla to the breastbone. And then you're going to do it on the other side. This is the way that my aunt detected her lump. Okay. This is the way a lot of people that I know found their lump. And again, like Cinthanie said, we talk about the mammograms if they're necessary, and what our own opinions are. Of course, I'm a medical doctor, but not your medical doctor. And
I am not a doctor, but I'm still not your doctor.
Right. So yeah. So that being said, if there are any other questions, otherwise we will get going. Another question. I got my blood test done and my cholesterol is 219. I've been using coconut oil, so my friend said that it's because of that. What's your input on that? Girlfriend. Okay, so first things first, you need to go listen to the book, Eat Fat, Get Thin, because this is written by Dr. Mark Hyman, and there is a great chapter that is I believe it's chapter 4, if I remember correctly, just over cholesterol. And he does the best job that I have found out of all of the books that I've read, explaining cholesterol and why that number wouldn't scare me at all. So that I'll just tell you, go read that. And heck, you can go to Barnes & Noble. You don't have to buy the book, but it's totally worth buying the book, because it's a great, great book with a lot of great information. How defective is red yeast rice? Effective. Oh, she wrote it wrong. Jessica McCarthy. How effective is red yeast rice? I don't know.
I've never heard of that.
I have heard of that. I haven't done a lot. I do know that a lot of theory of etiology, which etiology is basically what causes something, for cancer is a pathogen. So a pathogen can be a bacteria, it can be a virus, it can be a fungus. And so obviously yeast is a fungus. There are several people that I've seen that their etiology of their cancer is basically a fungal infection. So I don't know enough about it to officially give my opinion about it, but I have read a little bit about it. I do know that eating naturally fermented foods is good for your gut biome, which we will do an episode about gut health coming up eventually. But yeah, that's, I don't fully know. And like we always say, I'm a doctor, but I don't know everything. And I know there's a lot of doctors out there that act like they do know everything, but we don't. And if you have a doctor that acts like they know everything, then you should probably get another doctor. I'm just saying. Okay.
So Kathy wants to know, she said, someone got on to me this week about charring some of my sauteed vegetables. They said that it adds carcinogens to the food.
That is true. And I am aware of, I try and not overcook my vegetables, or not just vegetables, but meat as well.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep. The best way to cook food, a good book to read. And this book, I'm telling you right now, it's not necessarily the weak of mind, but it's definitely, you have to be a nerd to like listen to the whole thing. I think the entire audiobook is like 26 hours, and she gets like, so it's a physician. Her name's Dr. Shanagan. It's Deep Nutrition. She's the physician that takes care of a few different NBA teams. And she talks about the method of slow cooking and why it's better if you're going to cook vegetables and or meat. She also talks about the benefit of eating vegetables raw. I'm not a raw vegan by any means. And the meat I eat is humanely treated, raised, not given any antibiotics or hormones or whatnot, not conventional. Exactly. But the way in which you cook your food is important. So that you're right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Learn something new every day.
Oh, and Kesia said, can't wait to see you here in Charlotte. Yay. I'm coming to Charlotte on January 6th. It's going to be crazy. So if you guys want to join me, there is a link on the event page, and I'll start sharing that event page on a regular basis. I don't know. It's not too late in the day to have my UK friends on, but I will be in the UK in 1 week and 6 days for the coach launch event, because Beachbody coaching is finally coming to the UK. So
finally.
I know.
I even have my UK shirt on right now.
Oh, do you?
I
Yay.
do.
Well, we got to see it. Show us.
Oh, hold on. I'm on a stool. So
You're on a stool.
I have to jump down from the stool and then stand up.
It's not quite. Oh, there's the UK shirt. I need to go buy some UK shirts.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so
we got one more question.
Okay, one more question, and then we'll wrap it up.
What is your go-to cooking fat?
Probably coconut oil or ghee.
I was going to say ghee. I love ghee. It tastes so good.
I love ghee. So for those of you that don't know, ghee is basically clarified butter. So for most people that can't tolerate dairy, clarified butter, like most people that have a dairy allergy, that are truly lactose intolerant, not just lactose sensitive, lactose intolerant. Yeah. Most people can tolerate ghee. Every now and then, it's like 1% to 2% of people can't even do ghee, but it essentially tastes like butter. It can take the high cooking heat, and it makes it taste so good. So yeah, those are my two. I like avocado oil too, as well. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, all right. Any other questions before we get out?
We are good.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for spending this Friday with us. Even the people that are on my personal Facebook page that are looking at me sideways, there's still some people on there, surprisingly enough. But typically we like to meet you guys on the Club Fitz Fitness like page or the Club Fitz Fitness YouTube channel every Friday at 3:00 Central Standard Time. And in 2 weeks, I will be live from the UK. You'll be there. But I will have a different background, and it will be nighttime for me. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
So all right,
you guys. You're a good person. You deserve good things to happen to you. And I hope you have a Fitz and Healthy Friday.
Amen. Amen. See you guys next week. Bye. Make sure that you find us on social media. You can find Cinthanie on Instagram and Facebook at Cinthanie. So that's CINTHANIE, and on Snapchat at Cinthanie P. And find me on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Club Fitz Fitness. Remember, that's FITZ Fitness. And on Snapchat, just at Club Fitz. I appreciate your time listening so much. If you enjoyed this episode of the Fitz and Healthy podcast, can you please go do me a favor and go subscribe at whatever platform that it is that you listen to podcasts. Leave a review. We read every single review, and we appreciate the time that you take to leave your thoughts and opinions. Now, also remember, while I am a medical doctor, the information I provide here is not intended to provide medical advice or a professional diagnosis, opinion, treatment, or services to you or to any other individual. I am providing general information for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for medical or professional care. You should not use this information in place of a visit, call, consultation, or the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. The information I share is not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any disease or medical condition. If you believe you have a medical emergency, just call 911 immediately or your physician. Now, enough of that medical legal jargon. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate your time. Now, go live a Fitz and Healthy life.